Welcome to Twisted Liquid RC Boats. This episode of Twisted Liquid RC Boats is proudly brought to you by Blazer Marine. Interested in an RC hydroplane for yourself? Check out blazermarine.com. Also, this episode is proudly brought to you by Slycat Racing. For all of your RC boat needs, slycatracing.com. Good day, everybody. Welcome back to Twisted Liquid RC Boats and the continuation in our Blazer Marine Lauterbach build. Now, if you joined us in the last episode, you know how we got our first side doublers put in and we got Bulkhead 8 epoxied in. We have it all left to cure. It's perfect. It's square. Everything is great. So we're able to move on to the next step in the manual that they're asking us to do. Now, the next thing they want us to do is to get the stem and these form stringers in place in the boat. And they want us to do them all at the same time. So I've got a dry fit done here now, which lets me place all of this perfectly, exactly the way I want it. And right now, I don't want to move anything at all because it's fitting together so good, I'm ready just to tack it and actually epoxy it solid because it's a perfect dry fit. Now guys, in order to do this, we still haven't put Bulkhead 7 in the boat. But Bulkhead 7 helps you align this form stringer. So what I've got done is I have it dry fit clamped to the hull. And I have it held with 4 90-degree aluminum brackets and some tall spring clamps. They're dead flat against the jig. So it's keeping Bulkhead 7 at a perfect 90-degree angle to my jig like I want it when it's going to be in the boat. I got it clamped with 2 side clamps on the side. We're going to leave this just clamped in the boat right now for fitting these pieces because it's going to help us to get everything aligned up perfectly. And as you can see when I move the camera and show you, adding a couple legs to these bulkheads, number 7 and number 8, when you're installing them, and getting them dead square to your jig will help you hold them in place. Now this form stringer, guys, runs right from the edge of bulkhead number 6 right here, right on up to the stem. And as it's going in place on the inside of this side doubler, it is actually fitting right into a slot in Bulkhead 7. So that's why I have Bulkhead 7 laid in place. Now the way I got it put in there, guys, you might notice that I've got 2 1/8 basswood sticks took and laid in place like it's going to be. And I've got the height of the bulkhead set up so it's dead flush right here with the top of my side doublers. I took a measuring tape in 1/16 of an inch and I measured from my jig up on both sides and my measurement is the same. I've got my squares against Bulkhead 8 so I know I keep everything perfectly square, and they ask us to get all this lined up perfectly before we glue anything because we have to make the edge of the bottom edge right here of this side doubler curve up around this stem, and it should sit flush right against the bottom edge of the stem so we can take it and get it in place later on. Now everything is lined up perfect, guys. I don't want to move nothing. I want to get this tacked, and as I tack some of it, I can remove some of these clamps to give myself more room to work, get some epoxy mixed up, and get these parts in the boat solid. Because like I say, right now they're fitting in the slots perfectly. They're just like I want them. So sometimes when you get everything set up, it's best not to disturb it, and it's best just to slowly move ahead. We're going to slide these in place after. They'll merely go right in on the inside of the side doubler right here, right up into the groove and right flush against bulkhead 6, and they'll come up flush against the stem. We're going to try and get 3 pieces in. We're going to leave 1 piece dry fit so it helps us align everything. You know how I got it set here, so it's sitting almost exactly where it's going to be in the boat. Now if you want to look, guys, just keep an eye on your slots right here. And you can see if you've got bulkhead 7 lined up perfect, because you can look in through a slot. And the only thing about this bulkhead is there is no slot for it to fit into the side doublers. It's a completely flush square edge like this. So you've got to clamp it and hold it at a perfect right angle, exactly where it's going to be in the frame. So it makes your life easy installing the 3 pieces we're going to put in. So let me move the camera and let's get this tacked together and we'll get it all set up. Okay guys, like I said, make sure your bulkhead is flush on the tops, on the edges right here on both of your side doublers. Line it up perfect with the slot that is in there that you do not use. Like I say, I took some basswood sticks. You can just run your finger over the edge and know you've got everything flush in the way it should be. This is staying in place just to align things. Now guys, if you look right in here, this is one of these form stringers that I'm talking about. And I hope you can notice that he butts right up against the back edge right here, bulkhead 6. He fits right in the groove here in bulkhead 7. And he is flush up against the edge, pushed up against it, touching the stem on the front. So remember, get these 3 pieces in place all at once, because it is positioning the angle of the nose of the stem of the boat for you. And this is why they are asking you to put it all in. Now after showing you that, I'm going to quickly get that all tacked together. Then we're going to come back and get some epoxy mixed up, and we'll get all this solid in the boat. Okay guys, probably took me about 25-30 minutes. Wasn't in a rush. Took my time, got my stem tacked in place, got my first side doublers brought up and tacked in place to it. Make sure you keep this edge right here flush, guys. Now this stem is on a little tiny bit of an angle and its slot is right here. So you'll know if you're getting all this in place perfectly. Right now I've got 2 of the former stringers just laid in, but I'm going to mix up a very small batch of epoxy. I'm going to put it on the inside edge of them, the back edge against bulkhead 6, and on the front edge up against the stem. I'm going to slide them in place, and I'm going to clamp them in right through here in this little hole and get them held in place perfectly. Once they cure, they are keeping the angle of the stem also for us. So I'm going to let them sit, cure, fully harden, and once I know that they're in there, I'm going to mix up a second batch of epoxy and come in and do all my fillet joints around my stem. But the first way I'm going to conquer it, the first step I'm going to use, is I'm going to get these former stringers now in place perfect, because I know right now the angle of that stem is perfect by the slot and the way it positioned against the side doublers. And I've still got bulkhead 7 dry fit in place at a perfect right angle to the jig, and that let me line up the former stringers perfect. So let me get a little bit of West Systems mixed up, get it on the former stringers, and get them in place and clamped. When you're doing it, guys, try and avoid to keep the epoxy around bulkhead number 7, because right now we still don't have this put in place yet. And if you do epoxy it in, it could make your life difficult down the road. So just avoid putting any epoxy around that area on the former stringer and slide it up in place. It'll slide in right through the front of the hull right here, right nice and easy. And then you can align it so it butts up against bulkhead 6 and goes up flush against the stem and into the slot in bulkhead 7, but not glued to it yet. So let me get some epoxy mixed up, get the former stringers in place. I'll clamp them and hold them, and we'll move on from there. Okay guys, it's the next day after we got our former stringers in and our stem in. I done an epoxy mix last night. I epoxied along this edge right here. I done along these edges right here, on the inside right here. I left this bare till this morning, and I done a second epoxy mix, and I done this angle right here between the stem and bulkhead 8. Now notice how I left 2 trim squares lightly clamped to this with spring clamps, because the stem is on a slight angle, but bulkhead 8 is perfectly square to our jig. So now that we've got all this epoxied solid and everything is perfect, we're ready to move on and put bulkhead 7 in the boat. Now guys, you're gonna have to do a slight little bit of sanding on the side doubler right here at the front of the nose. I mean, you might have to remove 1/8 of an inch of material, that's all. And once you do, you'll get a nice shape where your boat will come in and round in at the nose perfectly. And take your time and get this done correctly. Make sure the edge is flush around the bottom, and you know that you got to put in there correct. Now moving on to bulkhead number 7. We can now install it in the boat because bulkhead number 7 has no slot that fits into the side doublers. It's a completely straight flush edge on this bulkhead. And first when I got this kit, this confused me because I was wondering how you fit that bulkhead in between the side doublers. Every other bulkhead had a tab and a slot except for this one. But the key to following the order in the manual and doing the former stringer and the stem together at the same time first lets you use the slot in bulkhead 7 that fits the former stringer, and you can bring it down and line it up perfectly. Now guys, I took 2 basswood sticks and just laid them in place so I could get the height of the bulkhead just the way I want it with the sides. It's touching against my stem like it should. And in through the side right here, you will see a slot that you can align it and make it perfectly square. Now also, notice how I got this held square to my jig. It's a very, very simple setup. I've got 2 sets of Speedmaster strut mounts took. They're essentially 90-degree L brackets. And I've got them put on the bulkhead with a spring clamp pushing down onto the jig, and that keeps my bulkhead at a perfect right angle while it's curing, while I'm epoxying it in. The height is good because my basswood stick and my side is completely flush like I want it on both sides. It's touching my stem, it's down against my former stringer, and I've got it held perfectly square. I just went in through the side with 2 slide clamps and pulled the sides tight, and it got everything snug and sitting. So right now guys, I'm going to mix up a small batch of West Systems G-Flex. I'm going to come in and I'm going to epoxy this bulkhead in. There's no need of me really tacking it with CA because it's sitting in a perfect position exactly like I want it in the boat right now. So my best bet is just to not move anything, get my epoxy mixed up, apply it, make sure I put it exactly where I want it to, let everything sit, harden and cure, and that way we will have the bow nose area of our boat conquered. So I'm going to get that work done, and we'll conclude today's episode, because that's 4 more pieces in the boat. That's the 2 former stringers, the stem, We've got our side doublers lined up perfect, our angles right on bulkhead 8, our angles right on bulkhead 7 with its height, and we're ready to install it. So let's get this work done. Okay guys, it's the next morning after we got bulkhead 7 epoxied in the boat. I left it alone to unclamp it with you guys and conclude this episode. In this episode, I wanted to conquer most of the bow work on this boat because right now they are asking us to move to the stern of the boat and do some work in the manual. Now, I'm just going to lightly unclamp all this and get a look at it for the first time with nothing holding it, which is going to be great. I hope you guys, if you do go ahead and build this boat, can use that little trick I showed you. Some aluminum angle and a spring clamp can help keep bulkhead 7 square to your jig while it's curing. Besides your clamping in through the side. It's pretty simple, but it works well. And, like I said in this episode, we had to get the former stringers and the stem in properly before we could get bulkhead 7 in the boat. Now this is where subtle differences in the Gen 1 and the Gen 2 boats show up. The Gen 2 boats, the outside sponson pieces, these right here, fit into slots after you get your side doublers together. There is no dihedral angle. I checked. So there's no left and right to them. But you've got to get all this lined up perfect, is my point, before you can get this guy in. It takes getting them former stringers in properly and the stem in properly all at once. Now, like I told you, take your time doing this nose. Make sure that you get a nice rounded shape to your boat. And after you got it done, guys, just use a simple square and check everything and make sure as you're building your boat, you are doing it correctly. And you'll know if you are. It's very, very easy. You just have to use some patience, take your time, and get everything installed properly. Now in the next episode, like I say, they're asking us to move to the transom of the boat. And we're going to put in a couple thin 1/16 inch thick pieces, which are going to come from our side doublers and run all the way back to our transom. In the manual, they're asking us to fabricate a couple little triangle gussets. I got a couple 3/4 inch ones made at a 1/4 inch Baltic birch ready to go in. So in the next episode, it's going to be, I believe they're called shear battens. I could be wrong. I'd have to look in the manual. But we're going to get these guys in the boat. And then we're going to get our rear non-trips done. I can't thank you guys enough for watching the build of the Blazer Marine Lauterbach Thunderboat, guys. I hope the way that I'm describing this to you guys help you if you go to build this boat. Following the manual, you kind of need to read between the lines and you need to take your time and study it. And orientate yourself with all these pieces that you're working with. Because if you don't know the pieces, it's going to be harder to assemble this boat, believe me. But if you get used to everything you're working with, you can do this. This is not super duper hard work. You just need to use a bit of patience. Like I say, guys, I can't thank you enough. I hope I'm explaining the build of this boat well for you. And I hope you guys are enjoying the build series. Keep watching. There's more coming soon. I'm going to get my butt back to work. And I'm going to start installing some parts towards the transom of the boat. Take care. Have yourself a good day. I'll catch you in the next episode. Thanks for watching, everyone. Feel free to like and subscribe. Take care and stay safe.